Oh, hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and we are here to make all of you guys at home some money. We are going to go through every single game of the NFL Week 11 slate. We're going to preview it, and then we're also going to talk about the gambling lines, and we will make some recommendations on what we think is going to make you guys some money at home. I will go over the intros for the cast here in just 1 second, but first I have a very important thing to say. Recently, I put together a YouTube short that demonstrated Deshaun Watson not being happy after a Cleveland Browns win in the locker room. That short ended up getting over 30,000 views on YouTube, and it upset about a dozen Browns fans. And
so all of them?
Almost all of them. And in the comments section, after the Cardinals win, one of them said, "Are you going to apologize now after Deshaun won, coming off of this shoulder injury?" And I said, if he completes over 50% of his passes against the Ravens, I will publicly apologize on my YouTube channel. And that is what I'm here to do. Deshaun Watson, he did have well over 50% completion rate in the game. He was 20 for 34 for 213 yards. That's 58%. He had 6.2 yards per attempt against the Ravens, which is less than PJ Walker and Kenny Pickett. He had one touchdown and opened the game with a pick six, and he also did run for 37 yards. Those are not impressive stats, but what I want to bring to everyone's attention is that Deshaun Watson is the number one fourth quarter quarterback in the league in terms of completion percentage over expected and EPA per play. So I think we all can agree that one of the things that Deshaun Watson is best at doing is finishing. No matter what it takes, Deshaun will finish. Even if you don't like it, Deshaun will finish. Even if you're like, "No, please, Deshaun, not in my stadium," Deshaun will finish. Deshaun Watson, I am sorry for disparaging your name. Thank you. Thank you guys for sitting through that. I hope we can move on, and we will. First, introducing NFL Insider, James. How you doing, buddy?
Very good, very good. Great apology. I think that was honestly one of my favorite parts of the live stream on Sunday was rooting for Deshaun to get over that 50% mark, so you had to apologize.
I felt really great about it after he went 1 of 9 with a pick six and 9 yards. I was not really worrying about publicly apologizing, but here we are. Anyways, Ryan Perrio, third time on the show now. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. Felt like your apology came from the heart there.
Yeah, I'm a true Browns fan, and I will be a man and admit when I am wrong. Just like Miles, who was nice enough to mute himself before coughing just 1 second ago, at Mr. Most Days Off, responsible for over 10,000 views on this YouTube channel. How are you doing, Mr. Miles?
Good, dude. I was blown away like everyone by the Browns, but they've beaten 2 incredible teams when they were at the peak, and then they've sucked everybody else. So I don't know what the NFL is. I don't know why I'm here.
There's a lot of mishmash at the top. Really, the only team that you can say is like kind of undisputed at this point is the Eagles. They've slipped up the least so far this season. Speaking of which, Cowboys fan, Niners fan, Tony Mack, second time on the podcast. I think first time on the preview episode. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, man, good. Thank you for having me on. What's up to everybody? And I'm proud of you for your apology, but I like how you kept saying he was a finisher. I didn't know if you was talking about the game or the massage parlor, man.
Oh.
You true to your word?
Wow. That must have sounded horrible. Oh, well. Moving on to a man who is also responsible for over 10,000 views on this YouTube channel, Paxton Bailey. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on? How's it going, guys? Good to be here. Very excited to make some bad bets.
As
Hell
am
Hell yeah.
I. So let's get right to it. Starting our slate on Thursday night, the Cincinnati Bengals, who just lost to rookie CJ Stroud, are going into Baltimore. Baltimore is a 4-point favorite at home. The over-under is 46. Unders have been absolutely automatic in primetime games so far this year. Marlon Humphrey and Ronnie Stanley likely out. They did not practice today. This is our only injury report we have to go off of. We are recording on Tuesday night all throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Like I said, the Ravens just lost to the Browns at home, and the Bengals have Hubbard and Hendricks, both a DNP for today. We do not know if they will be ready to play, but that's a cluster injury at the defensive end position for the Bengals. T. Higgins also out. I honestly would not expect him to play this game. And like I said, the Bengals are coming off of a loss to the Houston Texans. I have no recommendations for this game. I think the line is exactly right. I still think the Ravens are probably the second best team in the NFL. I think the Bengals are kind of right behind them, top 10 team in the NFL, despite their disappointing loss last week to the Texans. So I'm going to lay off it, not recommend anything. If anything, lean the under, because these are two good defenses and their injuries kind of match up with each other. James, what are your thoughts?
Wow, I am actually taking the Ravens spread on this one, a negative spread, which is not very common. I think the Ravens are going to put a butt whooping on them. I don't think they're very happy after the Browns game. I think Harbaugh gets on their ass in practice, and I think they come out ready to play.
Oh, so that's a Harbaugh handicap there for James, taking the Ravens -4. Not what he usually does. I wonder what Ryan's going to do. What do you think, Ryan?
To me, the odds always lean towards the home team on Thursday for some reason. Like, that seems to be the prevailing win. So I would take the Ravens, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a closer game. I think the Bengals really had a gut check this week after the Texans basically took away two red zone possessions with interceptions on Bengals, and I feel that's been addressed in the quarterback room. So I think the Ravens will win, but I think this game will be a lot closer than people believe it will be. I think it'll be a 3-point game, to be personally honest. Division game plus Thursday night.
Yeah, tough to bet on. The Bengals did have a wild finish there through an interception, like you said, in the red zone. And then rookie CJ Stroud gave one right back. So that was pretty interesting. Paxton Bailey, what are your thoughts on the game, buddy?
First, could I have you scoot over on the line here? So
yeah, you want to take a tasty little peek at the money line action.
Yes,
Bengals
please.
being +164.
That changes a lot, Jamie.
Does it?
That does. That's a big number, and I'm easily surprised.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm going to take the Bengals money line on this one because
okay.
I feel like this game being, if you ride on the injuries that we know, the DNPs, and say they're all out, this could be a gun show. And at that point, it could be the Bengals that take this. So I'm going to take the Bengals 164.
Bengals at +164. That's a +160 recommendation. Tony, what are your thoughts?
I'm agreeing with Ryan here. I think it's going to be a close game, but the Ravens take it. No more than 3 points. This is too tight to gamble on.
So not a recommendation. Tony is taking the Ravens to win, though. And then Mr. Miles Francis.
I partially agree with both Ryan and Paxton, believe it or not. I believe that if it were not for this Monday night game, these two teams took arguably the biggest losses that shouldn't have been taken this past weekend. They both lost to teams that they feel like they probably shouldn't have. They're two teams that are going to come fighting back really hungry, really aggressive. I think that this game, I actually, despite all the statistics going against it, I think that this is an over game. I think these two teams are going to get nasty. It's going to get high scoring. It's going to get crazy. And I think with the positive money line, I would lean a little bit Bengals just in case they do pull it off. I mean, the Browns just beat the Ravens this weekend. It's not crazy.
Yeah. If I had to lean anywhere, I think that's where I would lean as well. Now that we're looking at 164, that's a little bit more than I was expecting. And the Bengals, I think have maybe a better than 45% chance of winning this game. So why wouldn't you take that there? Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys and the Panthers, our first noon game. No more 8:30 games, which is sad for me. Happy for a few other people on the cast, on the panel today. The Dallas Cowboys are 10.5-point favorites at Carolina, playing Bryce Young. Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers are coming off of a bye. I saw an article proposing the question from a Panthers point of view: should they bench rookie Bryce Young to protect him from this Dallas Cowboys pass rush, which is pretty interesting. J.C. Horn activated off IR. We could be seeing him back for the Carolina Panthers. The Cowboys, we just saw them destroy the Giants. It was pretty bad, unwatchable. They couldn't even cover the teaser, which added 6 points to the spread, which was sad for me. Van Der Esch recently announced that he may have a career-ending neck injury that's going to end his season at the very least. The Dallas Cowboys are playing on Thanksgiving against the Commanders next week. So maybe there's a little bit of a look-ahead issue going on. And you can't talk about the Cowboys right now without mentioning how electric CeeDee Lamb has been, having a massive breakout year that I think a lot of his fans and Dallas Cowboys fans have been looking forward to for the past few years. I also saw an article from the Dallas Morning News that proposed, should Dak be an MVP candidate? I do not have any leaning for this game. I think the number's right about right. James, what do you think?
Yeah, having witnessed this team in person, I can definitely say stay away from the Panthers on this game. I don't think benching Bryce Young makes any sense. He's going to have to play good defenses at some point in his career. Luckily for him, he's been dealing with Pete Golding at Alabama as a defensive coordinator, so those practices were very easy the last couple of years. But I think it's not worth betting on either way in this one. I'm happy that I will have a very light trip to Kroger since the Cowboys are playing at noon, so everybody's going to be there.
Yep. Shout out to grocery shopping during a Cowboys game. We will be live streaming the Browns game at the time, so I will not be grocery shopping. But anyways, Ryan, what's your thoughts on the game?
I also say the same thing, like with that spread increasing and Panthers are just futile. We saw it live stream against the Bears, and you thought that was futile. Imagine how this Dallas defense is going to look against this Dallas defense. It's going to be something that Bryce Young has to work through so he can get some film on it, so he can actually study and kind of do the VR, I guess, learning that they do nowadays, where they relive it with PTSD virtually.
That's pretty scary seeing Mr. Micah Parsons in VR take your head off over and over. Yeah.
But I would say the biggest surprise still is Odigizua. I think he's been, I would say, as productive as Micah, because Micah's being more matchup set up this year than he was last year.
Yeah.
I really think the Cowboys are just gonna, again, take them to the woodshed. Maybe, try to get Tony Pollard going a little bit more in this game. Try to really work through their issues with the running game.
Okay, so that sounds like a pass for all of us so far. Paxton, Bailey?
Yeah, at best, I would say I might lean towards the over 42.5 on this one, just because what they scored last week, did they score 42 points themselves? And
the Cowboys, I think they scored like 38 or something to 3 or something crazy like that.
And there's always one bad play where someone just turns burnt toast. So I'm gonna lean the over, but I'm not really pushing anything.
Okay, Tony, Mack.
Oh man, Cowboys are about to smash these boys. I'm going to have to disagree with y'all. I think Carolina, if you feel like that quarterback is your future, go ahead on and sit him down. The Cowboys feel like some lions, and they taste blood. They just dealt with the little Giants. Y'all saw what happened. They probably should have brought out Ice Bites Becky. Last time the Giants beat the Cowboys was on a Disney movie. And them cats is tasting blood right now. And I wouldn't want to put a young quarterback in there to get murdered. So I think the Cowboys smashing them. I would leave alone on this bet and just move forward, man. Look forward to seeing the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game.
I love that. So that's a massive recommendation. Sounds like one of your best bets of the week, Tony Mack. Miles, Francis, what do you think?
Last week I said I couldn't do a no-brainer on the Dallas Cowboys at a 17-point spread. That turned out to be overthinking, which was stupid. No-brainer this. The Cowboys are going to crush the Carolina Panthers by at least 2 touchdowns, easily covering a 10.5 point spread, even in an away game. Honestly, they could start Cooper Rush, and I think I'd still take that bet.
Still take.
They can protect. They should, honestly. That's the conversation we should be having. Should Dak be getting rest so they don't risk another late season injury while they just don't need him to get through this team?
Yep. Okay, so that's 2 recommendations on the Cowboys. Tony and Miles, the rest of us pass on the game. I have not recommended a bet yet. Don't worry, guys. They're coming. Speaking of which, the Las Vegas Raiders are coming into Miami to play the Dolphins. The Raiders are on a 2-game win streak with new interim head coach Antonio Pierce. Maybe just be their head coach going forward. It's been done before. Can't remember a situation where it's been ultra successful, an interim head coach inheriting the head coaching role and then it working out. But why wouldn't it with Antonio Pierce, former player? Got a lot of respect in that locker room, so maybe it would happen. Only injury concern, Amik Robertson's got a concussion, probably not going to play for Vegas. On the Vegas side of things, Miami is currently first place in their division, the AFC East. But the issue with them, the teams that they have beat have a combined win percentage of 30%. So they haven't beaten any good teams so far this year. They have lost to the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Eagles, which are, 3 top 6, well, maybe not the Bills anymore, but, top 10, close to top 10 teams in the NFL. Achane could be back this game. This could be a Achane coming back game. The Miami Dolphins are coming off of a bye. For all of those reasons, I am going to lay off this game. I think the line's about right. I think the Dolphins at home go ahead and handle the Vegas Raiders despite them having a little bit of momentum with their new interim head coach. James, what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, Miami is a great place to shop for cigars, but I don't think the Raiders are going to be smoking them this time. This game occurs at 10 a.m. Vegas time. It is going to be 85 degrees at kickoff with an 82% humidity. Miami Dolphins have a fantastic home advantage with that headline sunshine. I'm taking the Miami team total over 30.5. This team is good at putting points up against shitty teams, and Las Vegas Raiders, while they've won 2 in a row, are still a shitty team. That is my bet for this game.
A bet against Robert Spillane and a bet against Max Crosby. That Miami Dolphins offensive line has been able to block this year so far, so I guess we will see James taking the Dolphins team total over. Ryan, Perrio, what do you think?
I'm looking at the spread and I got to pass on this game. I think it's going to be closer than that. I think the Raiders are playing inspired football. I don't think they're going to get run over like the Denver Broncos did. I feel like this game will be maybe a 10-point game, but I feel like the Raiders will keep it close. And I look for Antonio Pierce to be the head coach of the Raiders come next year. I think after the Rich Bisaccia thing and them going with he who shall not be named, I think they're gonna basically try the interim tag, like take their interim tag and let the guy coach instead of hiring out again. I think they really regret not keeping Rich Bisaccia 2 years ago when they were in the playoff contention.
Great. So that sounds like a lean to the Raiders for Ryan. Paxton, what do you think?
I'm just going to pass entirely. I feel like the line's too right. That plus 12, I think they're going to cover.
Tony Mack?
Yeah, this is a tough one, man, because if they had their former head coach, I would definitely take the Dolphins in this one. That offense looked like the best offense in football, and it's not even close. I'm being honest with you. But the Raiders are inspired by their interim head coach. So I'm like, Ryan, I think this is going to be a little tighter. So I'm going to pass on it.
Okay. And Miles Francis?
I'm going to double lean on both the over and the Las Vegas Raiders covering that 12 points. I think that the Raiders are let me say this. I'm rooting for the Raiders to be the comeback story that they're building up to be right now. I like this get rid of the toxic coach and instantly everything gets better sort of situation. James, honestly, your analogy would be perfect. What if they do spark up some Cubans right off the coast of Miami after a victory on this game? That'd be like the perfect ESPN cover story for the week. So I don't know. I'm surprised that wasn't in the script, to be honest, James. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, and by the way, Raiders 5-5. If they go ahead and beat Miami, they're cemented themselves in the playoff race as a legitimate contender. So yeah, lots of reasons to be motivated if you're on that Raiders team. Moving on to the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. The Lions are laying 9.5. They are at home at Ford Field to be a raucous environment. 47 is the over-under. Justin Fields might be back for this game. We really have no idea currently, when recording at Tuesday night. I don't particularly care for betting purposes. The Bears side of things, they're already currently discussing on their podcasts, should you take Justin Fields over Caleb Williams? So that's where the Bears franchise head is at. They don't seem to be too focused on winning at the moment, at least outside of the locker room. The Bears are coming off of a bye. Detroit is not coming off of a bye. They're coming off of a shootout victory over the Chargers. David Montgomery came back. Jahmyr Gibbs held the starting role, sort of. He was kind of the feature back. They were pretty 50-50 in terms of snaps. Jahmyr had a few more opportunities than Montgomery, so that is an interesting situation. Jahmyr Gibbs is also leading the league in yards after contact for a running back. Dan Campbell pushed last week. He's still plus 60 against the spread in his career as a head coach. For that reason and the reason of if Justin Fields is out, this feels like an easy cover for me. 9.5. I'm taking the Lions, laying it at home. And that's going to be my best bet of the evening. James, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was tempted at the 9.5. Probably would have taken it at 8.5. I do think the Lions steamroll here. Shout out to Justin Fields for saying roll tide, realizing that is still, in fact, a better program than Ohio State. Thanks, Jeff.
That is a comment from NFL Insider and Alabama alum, Insider James. Ryan Perrio, what do you think?
I'm with you. I take the Lions. I think they're going to cover the spread quite easily. I think it's going to be church in the third quarter. Basically, they're
going to be partying in Detroit, or they're going to be getting the hell out of there so they can drive all the way back to Livonia so they can go to their car building job tomorrow. Anyways, Paxton Bailey, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to take Detroit covering the spread, the 9.5, but I'd also be looking for prop bets on this one. Something in the Amon-Ra St. Brown, even 100 yards and over. I'd take that.
Yeah, speaking of which, I think it would be a fun, when the prop lines are announced, maybe like a fun little Friday pod where we go get on together and we maybe recommend some prop bets. Because, yeah, I always think about prop stuff when we're looking at these games, and that has fantasy applications too. So I love that. Love that you mentioned that, Mr. Paxton Bailey. Tony Mack?
Oh, man, Detroit fighting for the number one seed in the NFC, and Chicago is trying to be the sorriest team in the NFL. Yeah, that's an easy one. Detroit. They're going to easily cover it. Get your money. This is free money, y'all. Go with Detroit.
That's a free money bet out of Tony Mack. Miles Francis?
Not even going to think about it, guys. It's the Detroit Lions. Let's go.
Let's go. So we got a lot of action on Detroit, and why wouldn't we? Dan Campbell is a covering machine. He pushed last week, which means he's due, y'all. Detroit Lions, we think they're going to steamroll the Bears. Moving on to the Giants and the Commanders. Speaking of teams who are competing to be the worst team in the NFL currently, the Giants, they are the worst team in the NFL. That's all my notes on the Giants. Moving on to Washington, Sam Howell has 3 consecutive games over 300 yards passing. At the same time, Washington is projected to have the 10th overall pick in the draft next season. There are rumors circulating that Bill Belichick will be their next starting coach. Ron Rivera, I think his time is coming to an end, whether it is by way of Bill Belichick or other reasons, very soon. So I am laying off of this game. That's a pretty crazy spread. I want to bet the Giants because I don't think this Washington Commanders team deserves to be 9.5-point favorites ever. Having said that, I have seen DeVito play 2 football games now, and I did not like what I saw. So for that reason, I'm laying off of it. James, what do you think?
This is a game where he cements himself as the starting quarterback for Italy's 2028 Olympic flag football. I think over 37.5 is the only thing that I'd be interested in here. I think both these teams suck so bad that they would suck themselves into the end zone. It's going to be like a missed snap that goes back and recovered by the defense. They're going to find a way to get points. I mean, the Giants scored 10 against the Cowboys defense. I think 37.5 makes the most sense here. I'm not betting it. I don't want to even watch this game. I'd rather be locked in the closet by myself for 3 hours. But if you're going to have to bet on it, do a 37.5 over.
You get to watch Brian Robinson run the football. And that's enough for me. But you're not going to see much more other than that. Ryan Perrio, what do you think?
Well, Paxton mentioned prop bets on the last one. I have a prop bet.
Okay.
If Wake Martindale and Brian Dable go at it on the sidelines, who y'all got? Who you got? You got Wink or Brian Dable when they start throwing? Because it got heated last week on that sideline. I would lay off of this game, but if there is a prop bet for coaching, like as far as like coaching altercations, I would take that because this coaching staff looks totally dysfunctional right now. I feel like if they are going to stay with Dable, it's going to be Dable's really going to have to rethink his assistants and really have to dig deep and try to find somebody to help him out with this team because this team looks extremely fractured.
Yeah, and
like
go ahead.
I haven't seen this in such a long time, like since like the '97 Oilers, where Jeff Fisher and Buddy Ryan got into a fight on the sidelines of the game.
Of course, we all remember those '97 Oilers. Well said, Ryan Perrio. So fast these NFL storylines change. They change like in 3 weeks of the season where, at the beginning of this year, Brian Daboll was the reason Josh Allen was so successful and Josh wasn't going to be able to do anything without him. And the Giants are just going to ride into the playoffs easily again this year. And now we're talking about him getting fired. So here we are. It's not even December yet. Paxton Bailey, what do you think?
I'm going to go with James and take the over on this one and just kind of ride off my last little bit there, take another prop bet. And this one's going to be all-purpose yards for Antonio Gibson. Gibson. I can't remember which one's which. But he's seeming to gain yards, and I bet they'd slot him low in the prop game.
He would definitely be really, really low if you're expecting him to get more usage over there in Washington. I wouldn't expect it. I already professed my love for Brian Robinson multiple times on this podcast, so I'm going to not recommend that bet with you. But Tony, what do you think?
That's what I think about this entire game, man. This is the battle of what coach is going to get fired first. You know what? I got a better bet for him. I bet you that Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State can whip both of these teams' ass. How about that bet? Can we get that on the stat line? But
I don't know.
I'm passing on this shit even being in the NFL, man. I say stay away from it. It's the weirdest thing that can happen with these type of games. It's a rivalry, but both teams are playing for what?
Tony says don't even Tony says don't even put it on my TV screen. Miles?
This is a Special Olympics game, dude. This is not worth watching. I agree that I think they might accidentally score 38 points collectively just through terrible, terrible defense. But frankly, if I could get a prop bet on at least one player lining up on the wrong side of the ball, I think I'd take that.
So we're really looking into the prop bets for that game. That's interesting. for a Week 11 game. The Cardinals are going into Houston. The red-hot Houston Texans in the playoff hunt. All of a sudden, in the hunt to win the division. All of a sudden, by way of offensive rookie of the year favorite and rookie league MVP candidate, CJ Stroud. Nico Collins still dealing with a calf. I would not expect him to play again. Tank Dell has filled that role extremely well, so as long as he stays healthy, I would not expect it to be an issue. Kyler is back. Kyler, in his return against the Falcons, was 19 of 32 for 249 yards, 1 interception, but he did run in a touchdown and ran for a total of 33 yards. So pretty bad game for Kyler Murray standards. This Texans defense is feisty. They're not easy to move the ball on. But I don't want to bet against Kyler right now. I'd like to see more of a sample size out of him to really figure out what he's going to be like going forward. So for that reason, I'm just going to entirely lay off of it because of me not knowing what Kyler is. If I had to lean anything, I would just lean that plus money line 160 for the Cardinals to win it. You know, the Texans are red hot. They did lose to the Panthers like 3 weeks ago. So, you know, talk about things can change in the NFL pretty quickly and how narratives can shape themselves in front of our eyes. You know, don't underreact to that Panthers loss. This Texans team is not unbeatable at the moment. James, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't see Kyler on Call of Duty all week so far, so we'll see if that changes. But I'm liking Cardinals money line here. Grabbed it at 175, so obviously shot those lines, kiddos. But yeah, I like Cardinals plus money here. I think they're a question mark, and I think it's a good number to grab them at if Kyler can be normal Kyler, second week back. Hopefully not spending too much time on PlayStation or Xbox. I think they got a chance.
Yep. Ryan Perrio?
Well, you had an apology for Deshaun Watson. Allow me to apologize to CJ Stroud. I'm sorry I doubted you.
Yeah.
I was football daddy you. I was trying to manage your expectations. You had an outstanding rookie campaign. I didn't want you to soar too high to the sun. But man, I'm taking the Texans on this one. I know It's my team and it's betting with your heart and that's everything you should do wrong. But CJ Stroud has had 2 fourth quarter wins 2 weeks in a row. I don't think Arizona's defense is strong enough to keep up and keep the Texans off the board. I think they're going to find their stride offensively. Noah Brown's been a revelation as far as a second wide receiver while Nico Collins has been out. Also, Sheldon Rankins, underrated help on defense. He was an absolute monster in the interior of that line last week, and I look for him to do it again against Arizona.
Yeah, and like you said, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. The over-under is 47. I kind of agree with that as well. Paxton Bailey, what do you think?
James Conner is back, and
is he?
Yeah,
I didn't see that report.
He played last week.
My fantasy score didn't confirm that. That's for sure.
Fair enough.
Go ahead, Paxton. Sorry.
Obviously, I think the Texans are going to win. I agree with all of you, but I'm going to take the over on this one and I'll also lean the money line.
Wow.
The 1 plus 160 on this one.
Yeah, I kind of like that. If Cardinals win, I think they win in a shootout, right? Like I think like somebody else said. Anyways, Tony Mack.
I'm definitely going to take the Houston Texans for a few reasons. First of all, Miko Ryans is a former 49er defensive coordinator, and he's doing a great job in that first year as a head coach over there in Houston. And I like the young kids, so I'm rolling with Houston on this one. Also, the Cardinals in our division. I'm letting you know that I'm betting against the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. It doesn't matter. Any team that's playing for them, I'm riding with them. But I think the Houston Texans going to take this one. They're going to take it with ease. Kyler Murray, the only way you win this game is if you're doing what you do best, play Madden.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are a better Madden team than the Houston Texans at the moment. Miles, what are your thoughts?
These are arguably the 2 most improved teams from the beginning of the season to the end or to this part of the season. But the Houston Texans are way more improved than the Arizona Cardinals are. So this is a no-brainer. Houston, they are absolutely going to cover a 4-point spread.
Yeah, that is a good point, and that is a recommendation out of Miles. That's a good point. We did have the Texans slated in one of our first power ratings as a bottom 5 team in the league, and now here they are making a push to win the damn division. So, yeah, NFL's
And the
fun.
Arizona Cardinals are just so bad that the improvement that they made qualifies them automatically for most improved. I'm not saying they're sailing towards the top, but like if you look at the Cardinals this last week and any other week except against Dallas, it's just like, where did this come from? This is kind of almost football.
Yeah, it's why it's
we were able to beat the Atlanta Falcons, for God's sake. Look at the moves we've made.
It's extraordinarily watchable football, which I was not expecting out of this Texans team this year. Moving on to the next game at our noon time slot. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going into Cleveland, and they're playing the Browns. The Browns are 4-point favorite at home, which kind of doesn't make sense to me, but also at the same time definitely does. It is obviously a big interdivisional rival, probably the healthiest rivalry, in my opinion, in the AFC North at the moment. The Steelers are probably going to have Freiermuth, and they are potentially going to have Fitzpatrick, which would obviously change both sides of their football immensely if they either do or do not go. The Steelers recently won and covered against the Packers, who are really bad, but they were able to move the football. Matt Canada is now on the sidelines for Pittsburgh, which is obviously very important. Apparently, they seem to be an entirely different offense with him on the sideline. So kind of odd that it took them that long to figure that out, but maybe they did figure that out, and I think that's one of the main reasons this line is so close, even though it is at Cleveland. News out of Cleveland, Nick Chubb just got his ACL surgery, so maybe the team's spirits are a little bit up. He's been squatting full depth for a while, coming off of his MCL reconstruction. Did the MCL first, and then they did the ACL as planned originally. Might get the O-line a little bit more healthy in Cleveland, and then, of course, the Browns coming off of probably the most impressive, most surprising win in the NFL this year so far, outside of maybe the Lions opening night against the Chiefs, would be the Browns taking out the Ravens last week. I'm laying off of this game. I'm excited. We will be streaming this game live. So if you're into that, subscribe to the channel and tune in. We'll do live commentary and have a good time during this noon game. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that Big Ben is not playing in this game, because then it would be the matchup of the quarterbacks who can't say no. But unfortunately, we are not getting to see that. If the Browns had won last week, I don't think this line would be even close. Pittsburgh would be favored, and you wouldn't see anything. I'm taking the Steelers here at the plus money. I think it is somewhat of an overreaction here. I think the Ravens, just let them have that one. I like plus 160. I got plus 170. So shop those lines. Minka plays. I think that line goes to plus 150. So I like the Steelers here. I think it's a valuable bet to take.
Yeah, you always have like a Tomlin free roll because he'll just win games he's not supposed to. You think it's an overreaction? So you think that line moved towards the Browns' favor? Do you know that for a fact, James?
Yeah, I mean, you're not just betting against the book. They're also trying to make sure that they have even money on both sides. They know that the public are very much like golden retrievers and are going to go with whatever is shiny and bright. So, Cleveland won a big game last week. A lot of people want to bet on them. They're going to put a line that makes people think they're a favorite team.
Hell yeah, as the money dog is barking up a storm.
Sounds like the dog pound didn't like that.
Didn't like that take. Paxton Bailey, what's your take on this game?
Honestly, the only thing that's really been working for the Steelers right now is their running game. Something about Najee Harris not doing well and Jaylen Warren coming in and saving the day.
First 100-yard rushing.
But Myles Garrett's on the other side of the ball. I'm going to take the under on this game.
Okay, that's a low under to take, under 36.5 points. So you're betting against Pickett. You're betting against Watson. Hey, I kind of like where your head is at, Paxton Bailey. Tony, where's your head at?
I'm kind of with Paxton, man. These are these teams, when they play Pittsburgh, Baltimore, or Cleveland, man, these are hard hitting, old school leather helmets, one little line on the face mask thing. These are hard fought games, very low scoring. I don't see no big fireworks in this game, and it's gonna be too close. The score is gonna be too close. So I'm with Paxton. I'm going with the under on this one.
Going with the underpassing. Otherwise, Ryan Perrio, Browns Steelers.
I'm with James. I'm taking the money on the Steelers because all they do is win, and I don't know how they do it. I don't know why they do it, but somehow they just win. They play the Ravens in a kind of an equal game for the Browns. Like their defense just absolutely tormented Lamar Jackson the second half and took that game away from him, much like the Browns did last week. I just feel like for some reason the Browns just kind of, there's just always been this wall with Pittsburgh, so I could see this being a close game and Pittsburgh upsetting.
Mike Tomlin would be how they do it, Ryan Perrio. Miles Francis, what's your thoughts?
This is a game that I just don't trust, but if you like gambling, I would go with the Pittsburgh Steelers doing the money line. But honestly, I'm kind of with James on it feels like that's a little bit conservative right now. I'm thinking more people will probably bet on the Browns based on this last performance. Wait for the slackers who are waiting for payday to get that money out. Once that climbs up a little bit, take that money line.
Yeah, well said, Miles Francis. If you like the Steelers, now that I think about it, and what we've already come to find out about Deshaun Watson, best fourth quarter quarterback in the NFL, maybe you sprinkle in that money line in the first half and the money line for the whole game. Now that I think about it, just a thought. Anyways,
grab the Browns live when Pittsburgh goes up. That would also be an option.
Yeah, just lock yourself in because that's gonna be a back and forth game. You can lock yourself into a
lock in the profit.
Yeah, I like where your head's at, James. Anyways, moving on to the Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags coming off of a bit of a disappointing loss. Same thing with the Titans. Levis has looked like he's fallen back down to earth after his first incredible performance. It's been rather lackluster in terms of efficiency the past 2 weeks. The Titans just got their asses whooped by Tampa. Tennessee, they are 3-6. They need a win to hold on hope for the rest of the season. The Jags are coming off of getting absolutely slaughtered by San Francisco. Zay Jones, wide receiver 3 or so for that team, just got arrested for domestic violence or an assault situation. Either way, it does not sound like he will be playing this week. So keep that in mind. I do not have an opinion on this game in terms of the gambling side of things. I still do think the Jags are a much better team than the Titans, and that's kind of what this line is reflecting. So I'm entirely off of it. James, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I've got no opinion on this game. I'm interested to see how it turns out. I want to see if the Jaguars bounce back, but I don't like any number on any board, any universe, parallel universe, or even a teaser for 50 points. I don't want to touch this.
I agree. Paxton Bailey?
Yeah, I feel like they got the total money or the total score pretty right on the money, and I feel like King Henry is starting to be dethroned, so I'm not going to touch this game.
Yeah. And then Ryan, you're up next.
Yeah, this used to be a Thursday game. Every year, this seemed to be a Thursday night game where Derrick Henry would just have a 90-yard run. I'm not taking any. I don't see anything on here that the 39 points. I don't see that happening. It just seems like this is another one of an ugly AFC Central game where it's pretty one-sided.
Yeah. And Tony Mack.
Oh, man, I definitely see the Jaguars bouncing back after that tough loss to the Niners. But I don't know if we're going to see a shootout here, man. I'm starting to try to make out a campaign that just say free Derrick Henry, man. Just get him out of Tennessee.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just get him out of Tennessee. We know y'all rebuilding, man. This kid got a chance to actually be an asset to a Super Bowl caliber team. Get him out of there, man. But
Yeah.
I do think because it is a division rivalry, it may be a shootout, something like a 27-24. So I think they're going to cover the points together, So I'll
Yeah.
take the over on this.
Yeah, I was calling on this podcast, I believe I was calling for Derrick Henry to be traded to the Bills, if I remember correctly. It would be awesome on that team. Miles Francis?
Do y'all not have the same love for DeAndre Hopkins as you do for Derrick Henry? Like, you don't think he's also stuck in a bad situation?
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. I guess he's just older.
Yeah,
He
fair.
volunteered.
Yeah, that's fair. It is Henry's young
Yeah.
guy. Honestly, I think you'll have a little bit higher respect for the Jacksonville Jaguars than I currently do as somebody that woke up Sunday morning and decided to drop Trevor Lawrence off on my fantasy team and pick up Kyler Murray feeling like a genius. I don't think there's a smart bet here with everything that's laid out, but if you like gambling, take that money line and maybe we get the DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry experience this weekend.
Would be pretty sweet. Would love to see it. Moving on to the next game, the Chargers at Green Bay. The Chargers coming off of a disappointing loss. The Packers coming off of a disappointing loss to the Steelers where they failed to cover. Jordan Love has not been great this year. He is 19th in yards per game. He has 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions on the season. His QBR ranks 22nd in the league. His passer rating ranks 30th in the league. On the other hand, the Chargers, Justin Herbert's playing very well. They are coming off of that last-second field goal loss to the Lions where it just felt like the Lions were going to win that game the whole time. It was just we didn't know how. This may be a lightly attended football game. Packers home tickets are the cheapest they have ever been. Lambeau, notoriously difficult and expensive to get a seat at. You can get in for like a baseball ticket price, like in the middle of the summer sort of thing, is how you can get into Lambeau. Chargers usually rely upon the away team to fill the stadium. Oftentimes, I don't think their fan base is very excited either with what they got going on, Staley being their head coach still for some reason. So this might be a game where we look up at the stands at the second half and it just is like empty in there, which is going to be weird to see for the Lambeau Field experience. I'm laying off of this game. James, what are you thinking?
I might have to take a trip up there. I've always wanted to do a Lombardi Way Airbnb and go to the Packers game. So if it's this cheap, I might just go this weekend.
It's like $45.
But I won't bet on it unless I actually go. But yeah, I mean, I don't like this game at all. But you very much intrigued me with the ticket price, so I'm going to have to legitimately look into that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure flights to Green Bay are super cheap right now. Paxton Bailey, what are your thoughts?
I want to take the Chargers, man, but they just love to lose in the fourth quarter, and Packers have to be pissed. So I'm just going to stay away from this game. I feel like it's not a safe bet.
Ryan Perrio?
I would stay away from it. If anything, I would take the over on the points. I think it's going to be a lightly defended affair. And the Brandon Staley farewell tour gets one stop in Lambeau before Lambeau leaps out of the Chargers franchise. Like that, I understand analytics have their place, but again, you have to also figure out, someone has to be on the losing end of those analytics. And unfortunately, he's been on that way too many times
He sure has. And Tony Mack?
I'm going to roll with the Chargers on this one, man. They are still fighting for second place in the AFC West. Second place at best. But so I'll go with the Chargers. I mean, for Green Bay, it's nothing to fight for. Detroit got y'all division on lock. And if you don't win your division, it's no chance of making the playoffs in their division. So I think they're just going out there so their coach don't lose his job.
Brilliant. Miles Francis?
Last week, you guys made fun of me because I was on a lonely island saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers was a no-brainer going over the Green Bay Packers. Jamie, you texted me midweek to let me know that ESPN was backing you guys. What happened?
No, that's not true. That's
what
not
happened?
true.
You texted
I
me
bet,
something of that nature.
I thought I bet the Steelers. Go ahead, Miles.
No, you guys definitely said that everybody had Green. In fact, I think you started with the Steelers, then James's script influenced your decision because
Nope.
you're weak like
Nope.
that.
I bet
That is-
Steelers.
All right,
I bet
well,
I bet
Steelers.
Steelers.
Okay, well then I'm misremembering all of this. But regardless,
Fake news.
I'm
Fake
going.
news.
Yeah, that's true. But most people just believe shit they hear on the
It's a
internet.
good story. No,
honestly.
keep going.
I'm sad that you interrupted it. Don't let the truth get in the way. Fine. Then I was on a very crowded island last week, apparently, but I'm still happy with my bet. I don't understand how you guys, even after Jamie explains that they're going to have a weak Green Bay Stadium. Like Lambeau isn't Lambeau without the cheeseheads in it, bro. The Chargers are going to dominate this game. There's no way they don't cover 3. It's a no-brainer. That's 4-4 so far, and we haven't even got the afternoon game so far, and that is facts.
Speaking of which, we are getting to the evening, afternoon games, whatever you want to call them, starting at 3 o'clock Central Time. We're recording here in Dallas, Texas. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Mr. Baker Mayfield are going into the all of a sudden red hot again San Francisco 49ers. We did bet against them. We bet against them because we were hoping that Trent Williams would be out. He played, although it was reported that he was not near 100% in terms of coming off of that ankle injury that he sustained a few weeks back. This is again a OU-OSU rivalry game. Baker Mayfield versus the 49ers defense. The old waving the flag and planting it in the artificial turf at half at Ohio State that Baker Mayfield did so many years ago. Neither of these teams allowed a touchdown in either of their games last week. Both defenses are playing extremely well. The Niners, Chase Young is filling an amazing role there early on with the Niners, and Christian McCaffrey lost his touchdown streak this week. It was like a record-breaking streak, or I think he had like 14 games in a row or something crazy like that.
16.
Go ahead.
16, I think.
16 games in a row. That's insane. Either way, I am going to take Baker Mayfield in that 11.5 points. The Niners, talk about a team that is good against not so great teams. I think that's kind of still what we've been experiencing with them, although they did beat their first good team of the year in the Jags last week. For that reason, I think everyone has overreacted to the Niners being all the way back. They are 1 or 2 injuries away at the beginning of the game to just laying an egg like they did against the Browns and losing outright after being a heavy favorite in the game. I am going to take the Buccaneers and that 11.5 points. We all know Baker Mayfield can keep it close, or if anything, can at least cover that spread, keep it within 12. James, what do you think?
Speaking of no-brainers, did Miles get a lobotomy after last week's podcast? How did you forget what we all did, Miles?
I don't think about it, bro.
I kind of like this 11.5. You might be convincing me to sprinkle a little bit on it. I don't fully know how this game is going to turn out. Again, this is to me, I want to watch it and find out how these teams do. I don't want to put on it, but it could be fun to sprinkle in the 11. So I'm as close to taking it as I possibly can.
So that is me convincing James to throw his money away recommendation. Mr. Paxton Bailey, what do you think?
So this is early on, but from what ESPN says, Baker Mayfield is questionable.
Bullshit.
He said
He's playing.
It says he was expected to return today. So it's early.
It is early. We are recording Tuesday night. Go ahead, Paxton Bailey. Sorry.
I want to take that plus 425, but I just can't. So I'm just going to pass on this game.
Considering making a plus 425 recommendation instead, he's laying off of it. Ryan Perry, what are you doing?
I'm passing. If anything, I would take the under on the points. I think this is a Brock Purdy get-right game. I think they're going to really get him to emphasize kind of the passing game. This is the worst pass defense in the NFL. The Tampa Bay, outside of last week, they've really been porous. I feel like this is a good way for you to get a quarterback who may have been struggling the last few weeks to kind of see the field better. So if anything, I would take the under on 41.5 points. I don't think they're going to combine for that many points. I think it's going to be one-sided.
Got it. CJ Stroud did break a rookie passing record against his Tampa Bay Bucks defense. Bucks defense can stop the run. That's kind of what the Niners do best, but you're taking the under. Interesting matchup. Tony, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, y'all know what I'm taking, but before I give you my predictions on this, I got to clear up some things you got wrong. You said the Jaguars was the first good team the Niners played, as if they didn't smash the Dallas Cowboys 42-10. And not only did they start off the season stumping the Pittsburgh Steelers into the ground. I just wanted to point that out before I get into this one. The Niners are easily going to cover the point. Baker Mayfield has never shown me anything to show me any sign of impressive. And now he's going up against this defense with Bosa on one end and Chase Young on the other. We're not even going to talk about the interior lineman on the rest of it. Niners easily covering the spread. And yes, I'm being biased.
I love it, Tony. You are being biased, but you definitely did put me in my place. Those are like 3 winning football teams that you could consider are good. I just hate the Cowboys and the Steelers, and, that's me. Sorry, Tony. Miles Francis, what are your thoughts?
I think the 49ers are definitely going to win this game, but I have learned maybe it's a contagion from Jamie's optimism, but for whatever reason, I believe in Baker Mayfield, not enough to win, but enough to not just get stomped. And I think that for that reason, they are going to stay within that 11.5 point spread. It's not a strong no-brainer recommendation, but I would lean that way.
So that's a lean to the Buccaneers from Miles. Baker Mayfield will cover a spread for you. Maybe not win outright in an upset, but if you got Baker Mayfield and 11.5 points, maybe you put $2 on Baker Mayfield. That's all I'm saying.
You've said that so many times when it paid off. Like that $2, it's don't bet on Jamie if he's like predicting interceptions, but do bet on Jamie if he's predicting Baker Mayfield to not suck too bad.
I'm a Baker Mayfield whisperer. I've seen every game he's played in the NFL. Anyways, moving on to the New York Jets going into Buffalo. Buffalo Bills are laying 7 points at home despite losing to the Jets on Monday night in week 1. Although they did have to play against Aaron Rodgers in 4 of those plays, it was virtually the same team that we're seeing the Jets be. Currently, the Jets cannot score on offense unless they get good field position or if they kick a great field goal. Their field goal kicker has been keeping them in these games along with their opportunistic defense. And isn't that interesting? Josh Allen throwing a ton of interceptions so far this season, and this Jets defense is equipped to be, I would say, opportunistic of the state of the Buffalo Bills at the moment. So Aaron Rodgers, by the way, I'm going to call him being back week 15, whether the Jets are in contention or not. I think the Jets locker room knows that explicitly. So I think that could be a good bump in the motivation again for the Jets. Zach Wilson has been really, really bad. That's all I'll say about that. I don't think anybody needs any stats to prove me right on that. The Bills did just lose to the Broncos in a crazy fire drill kick. They leave 12 on the field. The same fire drill kick that the Broncos did to end the first half where they were successful. They missed that one that was rushed, thrown flag, and now the Bills are probably not going to make the playoffs because of that 12-man. And they got their offensive coordinator fired because of that 12-man. Would hate to be that 12-man or the person in charge of that mistake because you'd feel awfully bad about yourself getting your offensive coordinator fired.
How much do you think that person makes a year?
The offensive coordinator?
No, the person that got him fired.
That's a good question because he's probably like a special teamer where he's just like, the one of the edge rushers or the personal protector. I don't know. Probably less than the offensive coordinator was making. I'll tell you that much. The Buffalo Bills, according to my sources, Stephon Diggs still not happy whatsoever in Buffalo.
His brother tweeted on his behalf today.
Yep, exactly.
That was last night, I think.
Trayvon Diggs was tweeting about him. about how we got to get him out of Buffalo. There were some rumors, according to my sources, nothing has been solved despite what Stephon Diggs has said publicly. That's just according to my inside sources that I personally have in the NFL. You can also use your eyeballs, watch the running plays for the Buffalo Bills in the fourth quarter. Stephon Diggs is not even facing the line of scrimmage. He's just kind of like standing there, not even pretending like the ball is coming his way whatsoever. There's a lot of turmoil over there, but I don't want to bet on a team that can't score football points. So for that reason, just kidding, I'm going to bet the Jets. I'm going to take the Jets +7. I think the defense matches up well, and I think the offense can score enough to keep it within 7 at Buffalo. I'm going to take the Jets. James, what do you think?
Yeah, speaking of the Jets knowing Aaron Rodgers is coming back, they had a player-only meeting on Sunday after their game. They got to get their shit together. So I think they play their hearts out. Yeah, it was an interesting meeting for sure from what I and yes, Stephon Diggs absolutely wants out. It's no longer a secret to anyone. I've been talked into 2 bets here, and I think the way that I'm going to make it play out is teasing them. I think I'm going to tease the Jets +7 and tease the Bucs +7. I'm going to take those 2. Give me a couple 3 o'clock games to have some fun with. I think both those numbers with an extra 6 points is very nice, very tasty. And hopefully Josh Allen continues to just play down to his opponent.
So repeat that again. You teased the Jets up +6 points to 13, and what else?
And the Bucs, so 18.5.
And the Bucs. Okay, so you got a Baker Mayfield.
17.5.
Yeah, up to 17.5 at 49ers. I love that. That's a fun bet.
Yeah, I thought so.
Fun bet. I actually considered it myself. I didn't pull the trigger on it. I do have a tasty little teaser that is involving NFC North teams. Speaking of which, we'll get to that in a second. Next, we're going to go to Paxton.
Well, I'm going to say this quick and easy. Josh Allen is poop. And I'm going with the Jets money line. I saw that big number, that +242.
Yeah, back it out so that we can all see that money line that Paxton's referencing.
There you go.
Oh, 240. Excuse me. But they've got a good rush defense. I think they're going to be able to stop James Cook. James Cook likes to fumble the ball a lot. Josh Allen likes to throw picks. Gabe Davis likes to drop passes into the defending team's hands. I think the Jets got it.
Brilliant. Mr. Paxton, Ryan Perrio, what do you think?
Well, I kind of called this after I think in the chat when I was watching the game. I said if the Bills lose this, Ken Dorsey needs to be fired. I believe he is the Jonas. I think they're going to go back to a different playbook that allows Josh Allen a little bit more of a run pass option, because I think that has been completely wiped out the last few weeks. You haven't seen him really take off and run. I think the Bills pull this off. I think it's going to be under 40 combined, but I think the Bills do win this game. And I think you see a team with a weight off its shoulder. I think Ken Dorsey basically had handcuffs put on Josh Allen, which you can't do to a quarterback when they want to run. You gotta I think if you let him sit back there and throw, he's going to make mistakes. If you give him the option to run, he can at least make less mistakes by actually running the football instead of trying to wing it into double coverage.
Interesting. And talk about a prop bet, taking the Josh Allen rushing over after Ken Dorsey gets fired. That's pretty interesting. Tony, what do you think?
Oh, man, this one is interesting because in a perfect situation, looking at both teams on paper, it's easily that the Bills are a better team, especially the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. However, it's like a perfect storm for the Jets to win this game. You got Aaron Rodgers out there making scientific history because he looks as though he's going to be back before the end of the season. You know what I mean? So that might sparking up something with the Jets, who has probably the best defense in football. And then you look at the Bills with the Diggs situation. It's obvious, like you said, he wants out. It's obvious it's an issue with the quarterback. I don't see them being able to connect against this defense, man. I think the Jets not only gonna cover, but they're gonna cover with ease. But it's still gonna maybe low scoring. I don't see the Bills getting their shit together. Not at all. I'm going with the Jets.
Well, So Tony's taking the Jets. Well said. And Mr. Miles, what do you think?
Earlier, I referenced that the Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans are arguably the most improved teams from beginning to end. I think these might be the most disappointing teams from season start to season end. We were all Aaron Rodgers believers. We all thought the Jets were coming out of Hard Knocks with some script written for them to go the distance. The Bills, man, Josh Allen last year versus Josh Allen this year is just disappointing to see what is happening there. With all of that said, this game terrifies me because there's just so many wild cards. Everything you guys have said up until this point just means like this feels like that book, like when you read to kids. I don't know. It's like fortunately, I had an airplane ride. Unfortunately, I had to jump out. Fortunately, I had a parachute. Unfortunately, it didn't open. Like there's so much that could happen in this game. I would just watch it and see what the future of these franchises is for this season.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I believed in the Jets possibly making a Super Bowl run until they started playing Sexy Red at practice. At that point, I knew their season was over. I knew it was over.
He was way ahead of the rest of us where it was the third play of their first offensive drive.
But I agree with Jamie. This is a prop bet like feast. If you wanted to do a prop bet, this game has so many different like angles that you could prop bet on, like from quarterback play to defensive to
Ryan. I really do dig your Allen over on rushing yards theory, dude. That feels like when somebody told me about Bitcoin 15 years ago, and I was like, that sounds silly. I should have bought in.
Yeah, well said, you guys. Moving on, just 3 games left. We're already over an hour. The Seattle Seahawks are going into LA to play the Rams. The Seahawks are well within the hunt for the playoffs. They are currently, if this season ended today, they would be in the 5th seed. The LA Rams are getting Matt Stafford back. And for that reason, they are only 1-point underdogs at home against a great Seahawks team. I love this Seahawks team. I am going to lay off of it. The money lines are pretty even as well. It'll be interesting to hear what James thinks about this one.
Yeah, I don't quite know why anyone would bet -1, -110 if -112 is available. I never understood why these are offered in such a manner. Makes no sense. But not wrong team favored, but wrong team not favored at home. Who cares who the Rams have at quarterback? Not Stetson Bennett, that's for sure. And who cares if it's the other guy from Georgia, Matthew Stafford? His first week back, the Seahawks team is amazing. I'm very enthralled with them. I'm very enthralled with Kenneth Walker. I took this one Seahawks money line all day, and I'll take it down to -130 if I have. This is a great number. I don't know why you wouldn't take it.
Am I overreacting to the Seahawks laying 1 egg this season in like a big spot where I back them?
Yeah, you are.
I don't know. I'm still not convinced. Paxton Bailey, what do you think?
For the fun of it, I'm going to disagree with James and take the exact opposite bet. I'm going to take the Rams +1. Matthew Stafford coming back. He just seems to be a winner. I think he can pull this one off. I'm going to take the Rams.
Yeah, if it was anybody other than Matt Stafford, I'd be all over the Seahawks here, but I just can't do it. Ryan Perrio, what do you think?
I'm in on the Seahawks. I think the acquisition of Leonard Williams, I think they figure out how to use him and send him through there, and he becomes kind of their Aaron Donald-esque player where he just wreaks havoc on the inside. I think he's going to be a difference maker down the stretch. I'll take Seattle.
Tony, Mack, what do you think? You are muted. There you go.
I think both of these teams is going to find a way to both suck and lose. But if I had to pick one, the Seahawks or the LA Scams, I'm probably going to go with the Seattle Seahawks on this one, man. I think they got smashed week 1 against the Rams, embarrassed when they know they are the better team top to bottom. I think this time they go back and get revenge. They're going to cover by way more than 1 point. I'm going with Seattle on this one.
Miles Francis.
I'm going to lay off betting, but this is going to be like a battle of two very mediocre good teams. Not great teams, both equally mediocre good. And for that reason, I do think this might actually have the potential to be one of the more entertaining games to watch of the week, but not to bet on.
Yeah, I love Matt Stafford. And maybe I'm overreacting to the Seahawks getting blown out to the Baltimore Ravens. And maybe I'm overreacting to my love for Matt Stafford, but I can't recommend it, James. I just can't. Moving on, 2 games left. The penultimate game, Sunday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings and the red hot Joshua Dobbs' offense is going into Denver, Colorado to play the Broncos. Josh Dobbs last week was 23 of 34 for 268 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, 44 yards rushing with an additional rushing touchdown. If the NFL season ended today, the Vikings would be in the playoffs, which was surprising for me to find out. Justin Jefferson is, I think, week to week still with the hamstring injury. Denver is coming off of an emotional victory on Monday night, so they have a short rest against the Buffalo Bills. We already talked about that crazy field goal at the end of the game. Feels like the Broncos are going to take a sigh of relief here after putting a couple of decent wins together against some maybe phony good opponents in the Bills and so on. I am a Josh Dobbs believer. Always been a Josh Dobbs believer. Looked a lot more comfortable in week 2 than he did week 1, although he won week 1 as well, coming in for the injury on short notice. Offensive line was learning his name and learning his cadence at the same time. He played bad that game. Statistically, eyeball-wise, he played bad that game as a starting NFL quarterback. Played much better last week in the win. I'm going to take the Vikings +2. I am also going to tease Vikings +2 up to Vikings +8 against the Broncos. Don't see Russell Wilson covering that spread. And then I'm also going to tease my Detroit Lions down from, where are my Detroit Lions? Down from 9.5 to 3.5 against the Chicago Bears at home. So that's 2 bets for me to end my gambling slate for the evening. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I've said it once and I've said it before. No hair, don't care. Give me Josh Dobbs. Give me that plus money line.
Shave your eyebrows, you bitch.
If the Vikings win the Super Bowl, I will shave my eyebrows. There you go. That's what Josh Dobbs has got to do for that. I don't know if these will grow back. You never know. I could lose them forever.
You never do know. I got some good supplements for it, though. Paxton Bailey, what do you think?
I'm going to take the Vikings as well, but I'm going to take the money line on this one because we see that the biggest problem in Denver isn't actually Russell Wilson. It's their offensive line. And Danielle Hunter is up there in sacks this season. He's a monster. So I'm going to take the Vikings. And Josh Dobbs, like y'all said, looks great. So Vikings all the way.
I think that's 2 recommendations on the Vikings already. Ryan Perrio?
I can't pass the money line on the Vikings, even though I want to pick the Denver Broncos and that defense, which has just like come alive for them and saved them these last 2 games. Buffalo game especially. Buffalo basically had opportunities to win that game for 59 minutes, 59 and 59 seconds, and literally choked it away. I really think that that Denver defense is going to give Josh Dobbs more than he bargained for, but I can't ignore that plus 110 money line. So I'm taking the Vikings.
Brilliant. And Tony?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking the Vikings on this one, man. Us bald head guys got to stick together. This guy been playing. He's been playing good. He's been playing good. So I don't see any reason to go against Minnesota. Denver's having some issues between the quarterback and the head coach. So I don't see nothing coming from there. And Minnesota is one of these middle of the pack teams in the NFC that can actually beat one of the elite teams at the right time, right place. So I don't see a reason to go against Minnesota.
We saw it last year, granted with a different quarterback. Miles Francis, what do you think?
I think that TJ Hawkinson levels out the hair balance, so they've got plenty to go around. No, I want to make note that I didn't take any no-brainers during the 3 p.m. hour, but I'm absolutely back for a no-brainer Vikings on this
Here we
one.
go.
The Denver Broncos did not beat the Bills. The Bills collapsed in an embarrassing fashion to a team that admittedly played the best they have all season, but that still wasn't great. I'm a Dobbs believer at this point. The guy's got a degree. He's a rocket scientist, for Christ's sake. He thinks enough for the both of us. I've got enough hair for the both of us. We're a dream match. No brainer, the Vikings.
Brilliant. And moving on to our final game. Great game here. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Chiefs. We will be live streaming this one for sure on the channel, so please subscribe if you'd like to do that. The Eagles are 2.5-point underdogs. The Chiefs are coming off of a bye. Both teams have a clear path, sort of, to the number one seed in the playoffs. The over-under is 45. We're going to see a little bit of fireworks in this game, I do believe. Nothing makes me want to bet this game yet, but I think I want to hear what Mr. James has to say before I officially back out. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, if anyone's been paying attention, we haven't had a script game of the week yet. So there's only one option for the game. And not only do I have the script this week, I also have the flight log for Taylor Swift.
Wow.
And she's playing.
Is Karma the guy on the Chiefs that's coming back home with you?
It might be. It might be. But hear me out, right? Taylor Swift plays in Brazil on the 19th. She loves her private jets. She's going to be in Kansas City for this game. She's coming back for this.
Wow.
No doubter there. But they say a lot of stuff about karma. Miles talking about karma. Let's talk about karma a bit, right? Karma is a fickle thing. It can be a cat. Karma can be an acrobat. It can be the breeze in your hair on the weekend. But this game is not played on the weekend. It is played on Monday night. And karma can be a tush-push on 4th and 1. And that's what's going to happen. Donna Kelsey is going to be happy. She's going to see a lot of offense. But with 1:15 left, the Eagles are going to run down the field up 3 points. They're going to use all of the Chiefs' timeouts. It's going to be 4th and 1 in about a half. Tush-push, first down, game over. This game is going Eagles. This game is going to the Philadelphia Eagles. And Devontae Smith, Heisman winner, Alabama, shout out there. I'm taking the Eagles' money line. I think the Chiefs have no chance of this game. I think it's going to be a close one, but I think the Eagles are just such a good football team that karma is going to be in attendance. Karma is going to run out, and the Eagles are going to be your winner on Monday night.
He's putting it all on Taylor Swift's future husband's best man. That's amazing. I love it.
Well done, Mr. James. That is a script writer recommendation out of the NFL Insider. And I got to say, I kind of like it. But Paxton, what do you think?
I like the Eagles in this one, mostly because I just want to watch the Chiefs lose.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't have a fan or I don't have a team anymore, but I do love to hate on my certain teams, and I hate the Chiefs. And I love Jason Kelsey. So I'm going to take the Eagles money line on this one, and I'm going to lean the over as well.
Brilliant. And Ryan Perrio?
I'm with Paxton. I feel for Taylor Swift because her man plays for the Chiefs, but at heart, she's an Eagles fan. She grew up in PA. DeAndre Swift has offered to, if she reaches out, to give him a Swift Eagles jersey with his number on it for her to wear. I think the Eagles take this one in a close game with Patrick Mahomes knowing exactly what calls are going to be called against the defense every time. He's seems to be undefeated in that regard every time he knows that it's against them. But I take the Eagles in this one.
Brilliant. And Mr. Tony Mack, what do you think, buddy?
Oh, man. First, man, y'all got to get off my man, Travis Kelce. You know what I mean? He went from the cool white dude that listened to nothing but hip hop and hang with the brothers. He got with Taylor Swift, and now he looks like the white guy that's arresting us. But I'm gonna go with the Chiefs on this one, man. I don't think the Eagles getting it done. I think Jalen Hurts is still injured from last year. He's still worrying about his shoulder. And in this game, you got to put all balls to the walls. And I don't think he's going to do that. You know what I mean? I think with the new addition to the Kansas City Chiefs, Taylor Swift, I see them winning this one.
Brilliant. And Miles?
James just put on a performance that, in my opinion, was better than the Eras Tour. And for that reason, I'm on Team Philly, baby. Let's go.
Hell yeah. And I absolutely love it. And I absolutely love you guys for hanging out with me this evening. Thank you so much. This is our official 100 subscriber episode.
Yeah.
Woo! We got 100 subscribers, which is pretty cool.
I'm gonna unsubscribe real quick just to fuck
Not
this
enough
one
to
up.
pop bottles for Jamie. Still a screw top for 100 subscribers. we need more if he's gonna pop a bottle in the house.
Yeah, we got we have 112 actually. So even if you do want some,
How many do you have to get before you drink wine out of a Modelo bottle?
I'll do it for 500.
That's gonna be a really bad sad day.
Tell your friends, people.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Yes. On that note, please subscribe. My name is Jamie Jakes. This has been What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. You can follow me at JAMJKS. James is not a public figure. He is an NFL insider. What do you have to tell the audience?
Holiday season fast approaching. Make sure you make the most of your time with your loved ones. You never know how much you're going to get. So I always give that recommendation every year. Make the most of the time that you have with them.
Hell yeah. Well said. Paxton Bailey.
Both of these handles right here are my Instagrams. Follow my personal comedy account and then my podcast account, which just started up. We've got Jamie on a couple episodes. Y'all check it out. We've got Miles' episode coming on to shoot here pretty soon. It's going to be very fun.
Our episode's got to be airing sometime very soon, right, Paxton?
It's Peyton, then you. So you're in like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Hell yeah. Ryan Perrio.
You can, all my social media is my name right there. I have shows coming early December at Dallas Comedy Club with DJ Dimmers. And other than that, have a happy holidays, safe holidays. I'm sure we'll probably have another one for the Thanksgiving Day games next week here.
Absolutely. Mr. Tony Mack, first time on this portion of the podcast. Was great to have you on. Thought you did an absolutely outstanding job. So good for you, buddy. What do you got to tell the audience?
Oh, man, thank you guys for having me on. This was fun. If you guys want to follow, support, all of my easy social media handles are very easy to find. Simply Tony Mack, TonyMack. Very easy to find. And, man, this was great. All I can tell anybody with this football stuff is only entertainment. Do not lose your soul over it. Anyway, man.
Oh, yeah. Well said. Mr. Miles Francis at Mr. Most Days Off on all platforms. What do you got to tell them?
I'll be out in Granbury this Thursday. I will be at False Idol Brewery this Friday, and I'll be opening for Zach Webbs and Friends at the Addison Improv next Wednesday, and all of that information is available at Mr. Most Days Off.
Hell yeah. My name's Jamie Jakes. Thank you, and good night.